Hello, my lovely audiences, my dear friends. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow with G&E TV. Once again, today we're focusing with our in our California. California, if you have something else to worry about, I would recommend you worry California first, because it is your own backyard, it is your own state. It's about yourself. California, we know, is having lots of problems. So one biggest problem is that the justice system is being clogged up by the quote unquote frivolous lawsuits. So when I say quote unquote, I mean a term that lots of people use, but you know, frivolous defers, defines on something that you do not feel that responsible about, but I would call it evil attempted. Evil attempted. That's even worse than frivolous. Today with me is my good friend Mahal O'Leary, and he is a double feature here. One, he is a candidate for California Board of Equalization, a very, very big position, important position. And number two, he himself, high as he is, a victim of frivolous lawsuit. So, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much.
Okay. I hope this show will help you and help you making the point to us fellow Californians about how important it is, such an issue that we want to make California aware of what we're facing.
Yeah, my particular incident, the lawsuit against me, I own an Irish pub in Culver City, and a few years ago, I got a letter from an attorney stating that somebody had attempted to enter my business, enter the restroom, and couldn't, was embarrassed, had to leave, and therefore I was to pay $10,000.
Did the person die?
No, nobody died.
Was he hurt?
The person,
or she?
We couldn't even figure out who this person was. So then I asked for more information. It turns out that the date they claim that the person came to my business, we were actually closed to the public for a filming. A movie company had rented out my business for that day.
I see.
And I thought, okay, well, they've lied. Surely this will be an easy one for me to win. And it turns out, I was advised by my attorney, look, you can argue this, that they were not there on that day, and you may win that, but they could come back in tomorrow and have another lawsuit for the same amount, and because your restroom is not handicap accessible, they will win. So the lying meant nothing. I realized I had to fix the problem, the issue that I had, but the $10,000 was going to remove the money that I needed to fix the problem.
All right. Okay.
So we it just felt
what
scandalous.
was exactly wrong with the restroom?
The entranceway was too narrow for a wheelchair accessible, and I had bought the business as a business as is, and I really hadn't thought about fixing things or making things bigger and thinking about these issues, because I was trying to start my business from, it was a failing business that I had bought, so my focus was on building the business. And then the lawsuit was out of nowhere, a surprise, and then I was in a catch-22.
Yeah, how did they end up?
Well, the lawsuit was settled for less, for $6,000, and yet I still had to immediately make the fix. I had to borrow money from friends. My business was still young, so banks were unwilling to loan me the money to fix the problem. So it just became a bigger problem. And if I had not resources outside of banks or money lenders, that could have failed my business immediately.
How long ago was it?
It was probably 7, 8 years ago.
7, 8 years ago. The business survived?
The business has not only survived and thrived, and I believe that particular portion of the frivolous lawsuit issue has been rectified somewhat. Now businesses that have the smaller restroom that needs to be fixed, they get 30 days, which is reasonable, but still, I'm just not sure if our legislators are considering the effect these lawsuits are having on small business. More needs to be done.
My dear audiences, if you remember, you would recall many of the shows discussing about what's wrong with California, especially with the ADA laws. That is very crazy. And I believe that I myself getting involved so deep that I would seize every moment possible to talk about it. I believe it's unfair. On one hand, we say California's economy is based upon the backbone of his small business, right? So small business is being the spinal cord of our economy. And on the other hand, we're trying to make laws, and our laws, existing laws, are attacking our small business as hard, as severe as they could. So I don't get it. In between, people do not get it. People do not get it. People get lost. Today, with my friend Mihal, I owe this opportunity to my good friend Miriam Maloney. She is the one that I work with all the time. Mary, if you you happen to watch, thank you very much. It is effort that she has been given for the past 8 or 9 years or something, that I've been involved, at least 5 of them. Right? I want to make it a call to California that everybody knows this is the big chunk that is blocking our ways of economical development. Right? So, learning from the experiences, learning from the attack. What do you feel? How do you feel?
Well, the biggest thing I got out of that was how come this legislation was put into place in the first place? I'm not sure I understand the motivation behind the creation of bills. As a former mayor of Culver City, I was heavily involved for the 8 years in office with local politics, but also very active regionally. And one shocking commentary from a staff member of our congresswoman at the time came to me and asked me, "Hey, Mihal, are there any bills you'd like to see the congresswoman create? Is there any legislation you'd like?" She has asked us to find things for her to create legislation about. And I'm not sure that's what we elected, or the public elected our elected officials to do. Go out and start writing bills. Is that the standard by which we're going to grade our elected officials? I'm not sure that's what they're there for. And the biggest fear is that legislation on a whim will be created without realizing the consequences of that legislation.
You're right.
I can give you a perfect example.
Sure. And let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll probably really have to go as deep as the legislature culture. There's really a big bone to pick in the legislature culture, rather than talking about what's on the surface. On the surface, of course, bad enough, but worse still is inside. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with me today is my good friend Mihal, and he was the former mayor of city of Culver City, and a council member, only termed out, however, ready to go for even higher campaign for the Board of Equalization of California. I believe once given that position, he will do a better job, even a better job. However, the sad story is that he himself, ambitious as he is, a victim of ADA laws. Can you understand? So, and with him, we're talking about the legislature culture. Let's take a break. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my lovely friends, dear audience, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Californians. Welcome back to the discussion about California. Like I said in the very beginning, if you have a zillion things to worry about, I do recommend you worry about California first, because it's your own backyard. It's your own state, right? Our California is being eaten up by those worms, by those termites without your knowing. 2.5 weeks ago on a Friday, I went there to Pasadena. I met with a bunch of friends who were there sharing their bitter experiences of being hit by ADA and plus whatsoever lawsuits. And with one of them is my good friend, Miho O'Leary. He was the former mayor of Culver City, now the candidate for California Board of Equalization, and he himself, most importantly, as a victim of ADA laws. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, now, I'm very glad that we did not stop on the surface of the problems. I'm very glad that we peeled off that layer, went down inside, see what's inside there. As you're telling us, say, there comes a Congress member saying, hey, you guys help me look around to make laws. Laws do not come that way,
no.
Right? So
this is the problem. Can you imagine, even the ADA lawsuit, do you think I didn't want to welcome people with handicaps to my business? Do you think my intent was to prevent them from coming to my business?
You're right.
I imagine that the legislator intended for me to make my place more welcoming.
Let me try something to be logically right. If wrong, correct me, please. All right. Like a guy and the lady, they fall in love, and later, when the love grows, they together, hand in hand, goes to a church and get married. And next year they will have a baby, right? Do they say, I love you, let's get married? Or do they say, let's have a baby first?
I would imagine the former.
Okay, I probably can challenge my audiences, or maybe I'm out of mind already. That was just an idea came upon me. Do they say in church, okay, do the priest say, are you willing to make a baby with him or her? Yes, I do. I am. And do you? Do they ask that?
Absolutely not. As somebody with experience, I was married and divorced, unfortunately. But they do not ask that.
I'm not out of my mind, right?
No.
Did I give you an example or whatever?
Perfect. Yes.
Thank you for recognizing that. Because if we're not as crazy as to that extent, though, laws are something that you will find the existing written terms unable to handle a situation, and then you create a law, like the Amber laws, right? Okay, now let's do a law, Amber law, right? So it doesn't say, hey, let's create an Amber situation, then we make a law like that.
Absolutely. And we have another series of laws. Our healthcare laws, the Affordable Care Act, the requirements of businesses to supply healthcare to any employee who works full time, and then for fear of restaurants specifically reducing the hours of their employees so as not to reach the criteria, they created another law. This other law was going through the legislature currently. It states that any position that becomes available must be offered to any current employee before going out and finding a new employee.
You're adding hours to the existing employees rather than get a brand new one.
Now let me give to you an example where this is ludicrous in my business.
It is.
I have a very strong group of employees that work the very difficult shifts. Friday night in my restaurant is very busy, requires a different set of skills than somebody working Monday day lunchtime.
You're right.
Now this law would be requiring me to, if my evening bartender on a Friday night decided she wanted to move on in her career, I was then required to offer the hours of this position, this crazy, busy, very skill-oriented position to one of my weakest employees. This was going to absolutely negatively affect my business.
On the contrary, to business way.
And for what reason? With no explanation other than trying to prevent employers from cheating another system.
You're right. Putting all these together, it really points to one direction, that something with the culture of legislature is wrong.
Yes.
The legislative culture, call it that way. Let's find a better term. Legislative culture is wrong, right? If not that, I give you another example. My friend Hovav, 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 he runs a business, and he runs a not Hovav, Tom Manzo. Tom Manzo runs a business that allows the workers to eat together, because for 20-something years, it's a tradition of 30-something years, the longest employee in the very company for 36 years. You're talking about generations after generations, they tend to eat lunch together. So for that,
creating a family experience.
Yeah, for create a family experience. And then the law comes in and say, you are stretching the hours. People are supposed to eat within every 5 hours. Right? So, take me myself for example. I never eat breakfast. And since the last dinner till now, till lunch, I'm talking about 12 hours. Am I breaking the laws myself?
Makes no sense.
Right. Now, sir, Mahal, my dear friend Mahal, once you're up there, once you get elected, please help make this voice out, right? It is getting crazy. The culture is getting crazy. The culture is getting crazy, right?
Yes, and I'm sorry to continually look at restaurants, specifically hospitality industry, but it is my biggest experience since coming to this country. So I have to firstly look at the damage being done to those small businesses, and then wonder if other laws that are targeting specifically other businesses are not having the same negative effect. The only way we can find that is through discussion. Bring in the parties that will tell us the damage that can be done before we put the law into place. I was lucky enough to be a representative of the California Restaurant Association in their visit to Sacramento for Political Action Day. And these were some of the topics that we discussed with our legislators. And what I specifically and passionately told them, look, I'm lucky to be part of this organization that involves and includes bigger businesses than the small business, the mom and pop business that's on the side of the street. That you know in each city, you will know that little coffee shop, you'll know that that boutique that you go to. They're not members of bigger organizations. They don't have political action days. We are going up with their voice. You're not hearing from them, and you won't hear from them until the doors are closed, and then it's too late. I want to be able to get into that culture, be able to use the bully pulpit if necessary, to make statements. Look, legislature, please, we have to be more careful on how we present and how we vote on laws affecting our core economy.
Exactly. After all, in a state whereby you can create the laws like a third bathroom, right? There's nothing they cannot create. Am I right? Am I right? So you are prepared for the worst already.
Yes.
I know that, right? So even though that given as a fact, we still want to survive. We still want to see California grow as the older position when they say they were the 7th place if California were a country. Now the 12th already. Now, let's take a short moment now. Today with me, my good friend Mahal. He is the former mayor of city of Culver City, and he is now candidate for California Board of Equalization. And he himself, most importantly, is a victim of ADA laws. And he, on behalf of small business owners, went to Sacramento to voice out. And once again here on the show, he is voicing out together with me. And I decided to get involved, and I will never relent. Stay with us.
Thank God.
Hello, lovely friends, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, the discussion is a heated discussion about California, about Californian laws, about California legislative culture. Right. With me today is former mayor of Culver City and current candidate for California Board of Equalization, and most importantly, he is a victim as a small business owner of ADA laws, right? Frivolous lawsuits. I know as a state, you have all kinds of situation, all kinds of occurrences. That's why we need laws, right? So when laws are being created every single day, by every minute, to an extent, you never know how many laws you have. You never know when you will hit by the laws you created. As citizens of California, how do we feel?
Well, I look at it as at least as a pub owner and hearing discussions on a daily basis in my business, that people are frustrated. People are feeling like the people making the laws don't care about middle class, small business owners. So there's frustration in the air. When I was deciding on running for higher office, I thought about the usual path. City council to assembly, then to Senate, etc. Stepping stones. But then I would hear from colleagues who went down that road, and immediately, to be transparent with you, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. I am declined to state
good that way, yeah.
because of the what I call the Hatfield-McCoy syndrome in America right now. One is supposed to hate the other. They don't know why.
Sure.
But it's frustrating. It's really
there are no real McCoy.
No real McCoys, no real Hatfields.
Everybody is.
Yes. So as somebody who hasn't joined either party, I feel like I'm welcomed by both. So I'm able to listen to both sides and then come up with something that's more modern, more meaningful, that embraces both sides instead. And I try to act that way as a city council member. So the stepping stones that I was encouraged to start with, assembly, I was told, well, if you go there as a declined estate, you'll be part of neither party. You will not be on any committee of any significance. Unless you drink the Kool-Aid in Sacramento, you're not going to be able to get much done. And it just the thought of that. I'm not somebody that can, as the audience probably already knows about me, I'm not a quiet personality. I want to get involved, find if there is a problem with something, bring sides together to find a solution, not to sway it one side or the other, but come together and find the correct solution. So
that's exactly right.
So Board of Equalization is a position that whereas the public tends not to know exactly what it does, and the governor has recently removed a lot of its powers, the position has been used as a stepping stone. John Chiang was a member of the Board of Equalization and other higher electeds. So to me, this stepping stone might get me into the mix to have a louder voice. And to me, that's more important than the pat on the back, having risen to a position of power as such. I just believe my voice needs to be heard, our voice.
Honestly, I like this statement. It is a statement almost like me, myself, at the show. I don't take stand because I'm not a partisanship guy, right? And it is not a partisanship show. However, when it's come to something that stands right in between what's right and what's wrong, I do take side.
Absolutely. I
do take side. For the frivolous lawsuit thing, in spite of the fact that media man stands in the middle of the way doing like this, what's going on like that? No. I decided, the moment when I saw this, I decided this is my side. I took side, right? So I like the reason I like your statement is that exactly we kind of collide on this one coincidentally. So thank you for thinking the way you think. I want to leave it one level escalated, more escalated. Once you're there at the Board of Equalization, right, there are tax laws you could promote. You could push to change, I believe, right? Our small business owners are not only 88 out of California, they are taxed out. They are ruled out. They are regulated out of California. In the meantime, other states such as Texas, waving at us, Arizona, waving, come over, Mahal, we need a pop. We need a pop, right?
Yes.
Something like that. So how do you think the importance about your future position, please?
Well, I'm not sure that the position of Board of Equalization, third district, the third district for the public's understanding is almost the entire, almost all of LA County and all of Ventura County. So it's an enormous district. It involves tax allocation. The taxes, billions of dollars are, or were up until July 1st, gathered into a pool, and then the correct amount was given to each city according to their tax allocation and their populations. And recently, an audit of 2015 discovered that $57 million was misallocated. Now, based on billions, 57 million doesn't sound like a lot of money unless it's West Covina's money or Culver City's money. What if 1 million of that is Culver City's? This is monies not being used for the purpose that it was collected. And yet, the solution by the governor is to say, okay, the problem lies with the board members. According to the governor and the legislature, the problem is they've mishandled and mismanaged the Board of Equalization, and what we're going to do now is take all the employees and move them over here. We're going to put half of them, they won't even miss a paycheck, under the jurisdiction of the governor. So half go to the governor under the executive branch. The other half, a new department, a taxing department will be created. All the employees moved over there. And the board member will be, with the same salary, $137,000 a year, sitting over here doing less. To me, that's not fixing a problem. That's moving a problem. That's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We have a problem. It needs to be fixed. It's structural. I'm not sure the board members are even to blame in this one. But it was a fix by the legislator to seem like they've done something. And that's not the way to operate government.
All right. Very good, very good. And by the way, honestly, it's the first time I heard anybody analyzing about the misallocation of our funds, our tax funds. I would want you to explain it one more time to make it understood by the audiences what exactly being handled for the purpose of quote unquote resolving problems.
Well, the misallocation obviously happened at a staffing level. They saw the monies that were available, that had been collected, and they were supposed to allocate to Culver City has 9.75% tax, sales tax. Then the 1/4% is the local sales tax. That must go directly there. West Covina's sales tax is a different percentage. Each city has voted sales tax percentages. So it seems like simple math.
Okay.
You cannot. How can you miscalculate? These are people who are supposed to be. This is their job. So I'm not sure I understand or believe that the fix that has been suggested is the correct fix. And I would like to go in there, have the powers restored.
In other words, the money is used not for the purpose, is to collect it.
Yes, correct.
All right. Okay. Very good. Well, somebody there needs some to push for some change. That I know for sure, and I do like the fact that you're talking about stepping stones. You're talking about the recognition. At least it will make my voice a little louder. I like that. I take that as a temporary move for somebody with that kind of a mindset. We really need to give him or her some power.
Well, I'll give you an example. Two of the board members have been talking about issues with this board for a long time. Fiona Ma in Northern California and the controller, Betty Yee, have both been talking that there are problems with this particular, the structure of this organization. So to me, a third voice, since there are 5 members on the board, a third voice to look internally at it to fix it would be my voice.
Fix is justifying, right?
Yes.
Into the situation. Okay, my dear audiences, with me today is my good friend Mahal. Mahal is a former mayor of Culver City, and he is the candidate for California Board of Equalization. And most important, like I said, most sadly, he is the victim of ADA laws. So together, we're talking about a mixture here. It's a mixed feeling. It's a sweet and a sour feeling. And we're not talking about the celebrative mood of being candidate of such a position. And we have to touch the fact that he is a victim of ADA laws. So it's all mixed. Now stay with us. We'll be right back talking about could there be some hands soothing the situation, right? Like a comb. All right. So we'll be right back, please. Hello, my lovely friends, my dear friends, dear audiences, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Most importantly, my fellow Californians, welcome back in talking about our own stuff. Our own stuff being that we, California, as Californians, we're being attacked. This is a scam. These are being attacked by frivolous laws, and the lawsuits clogging our legislature, clogging our justice system, and a culture that is a sin at the legislation area level. We're talking about the legislative culture being so sick, and at a certain part of the structure, such as the Board of Equalization, we found the money misallocated. Right. So altogether point to one direction. So things are kind of messed up. This is what I'm suffering. I'm suffering a lot from this whole mess up. That's why I say I wish there could come some hand who soothes the situation like a comb, something, Do you think things could be done like that?
Well, yes, I do believe that the partisanship is not helping, but I do believe that if bigger personalities, stronger-willed people got together and say, look, what are we doing? How are we affecting our small businesses, etc.? There's one elephant in the room that hasn't been discussed yet, and it's the minimum wage increase. And the effect that has yet to...
Speaking of that devil, all right.
That has, it's only at $11 an hour currently, but going higher. It's going to get all the way to 15.
15, we're going to hit 15 by 2020.
Specifically as a member of the California Restaurant Association and as somebody in a business, that there could have been another solution that other states have used. The tip credit, for example. To help your audience understand, my business is an Irish pub.
Okay.
I have 18 to 20 employees, depending on the time of year. 12 to 14 of those are minimum wage. Does that mean they're my worst employees? In fact, it's the opposite. They are my best employees. My bartenders, my lead bartenders are minimum wage, and they get the better shift because they can handle the business and they are good for my business. So imagine my number one cost to run my business, higher than my rent, higher than the sales tax, is payroll. So the legislature, without concern for me, has stated that my minimum wage from $10 an hour to $15 an hour for 3/4 of my employees means that my biggest cost will raise by 50%.
Yeah.
If you, as a business owner, were told in a few years your rent is going to increase by 50%, or the sales tax,
I would have moved out.
You would have moved out. And we are not. My business is in a strong position. In fact, I'm in sale. I'm selling currently because of my running for Board of Equalization. I didn't want the conflict, but other than that, it's in a very strong position. But I'm not sure that the small businesses that we discussed earlier, the small mom and pop restaurant down the street, the little pizza place, the coffee place, I'm not sure that they will be able to survive this.
The one bottom line is logic. I'm kind of person want to think to the very root of the problem rather than, that's why I wish to soothe it, right? Okay, now, the bottom line is, of course, you can say, let's do $15, let's do $16, let's do $20, right? I wish someday they can say, let's do $100. But bottom line is, where does the money come from?
Well, Jack, the particular restaurant business, they're taxing tips right now. The government, it's on the credit card, it goes to the bank. The bank is required by law to report the tipping. So the government knows that my best employees are making more than minimum wage. They know it. They're taxing it. They're enjoying the taxes from it.
They're taxing them on the tips.
Yes, but because I didn't pay it, they're saying, oh, this poor person is minimum wage. I suggest to your audience, go to your local restaurant or bar or Irish pub and ask the best staff, do you care if the minimum wage increase or doesn't? They will tell you, no, I make money from my tips. So why are we punishing small bars, restaurants, trying to put them out of business when it's unnecessary?
No, they're punishing both ways. They're punishing the employees, and they are punishing the owners.
Yes.
Both ways.
If the business closed, the employee is out of work.
Yeah, sure. They are pushing them out.
Yes.
Right? So once again, we're talking about these things, all these things together form a definition of a legislative culture. The culture being, like say, where you're pushing, right? If here comes the inspector, inspect your house, right? And it says, okay, probably there needs one more screw. That will use one more bolt, something like that. Those could probably within range, right? If somebody comes in, oh, the door's supposed to be round. right? And you should do a triangle doors, something like that. That India, of course, nobody says that. But what they say about the triangle doors, that indicates their intent of killing the business. They do not want you to do the business.
Yes.
Right?
Am I right? I think our legislators need to understand they're not there just to create laws. They're grading from us, the public, not from their colleagues, but their grading from us is based on how they vote on bills that are in front of them, not whether they created them or not, just because it says written by such and such a legislator. That's not relevant. It's how you vote on these particular laws. So if we can change that culture.
They are the assembled bodies of representatives.
Representing us.
Representing the one who voted them.
Yes.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
So, them looking around and say, hey, Mahal, can you look around for me to make something, to make some laws? I'm hungry. So it doesn't make logic. The ends do not meet, the math doesn't even work here, the basic. So that's exactly what I got very confused about, right? Take example, I just mentioned about a third bathroom, right? Once again, I have no problem with anybody with any orientation, and that's their business. Okay, feel free to do so, right? But I do have a problems with the third bathroom. We don't need that, and yet we created not only the bathroom but the laws.
And most small businesses lease. They don't own the property.
Yeah.
And most businesses, if they're successful, are spatially challenged. There's no place to put this third bathroom unless they put it in the kitchen.
Sure. That's why in your case you need a bigger door, right?
Yes.
And you have problems to get a bigger door.
Yes.
The
walk-in cooler is here, and the frame of the building is here. There's nowhere else to move.
I'll give you an example. The other day I was, by the way, EDI, we do lots of public event, because we have the urge to outreach to people, right? At one of the event, I was the manager of the whole thing. So we do Here We Go with a stage. I forgot the exact dimension of the stage, but I know it's 4 feet high, right? For 4 feet to get the city.
You need a ramp.
Made me a ramp. Okay, ordered me to do a ramp by calculation of 6% of degree of slope. I have to go all around the stage, and I'm not even in range. Finally, they gave up because mathematically it doesn't work. Plus the fact I stated to them, I said, among all the performers, nobody is on wheelchair, right? And I'm opening my door saying that you guys on wheelchairs come on stage to perform. Nobody can perform. What am I supposed to do?
You're preaching to the choir, Jack. I appreciate the way you can look at things.
Sure, but because this is crazy. Next time when you want to make something, take me. I'll stand on your side.
All right.
Okay, very good. Okay, my dear friends, with me today is my friend Mihal. He was the former mayor of Culver City, and now he is a candidate for California Board of Equalization. And the most importantly, we're here sharing his sad, bitter experiences of being a victim of a frivolous lawsuit, in other words, ADA lawsuits. To wrap up, I want you to really voice out to my audience how they can join you, please.
Well, the introduction at the end there, that it is a sad reflection, I am definitely not sad. I am still very optimistic about,
Good for you.
The future of California. We're some of the luckiest people in the world. Our weather, where we live, is wonderful. Some great changes are happening. I not only am doing the running for Board of Equalization, but when I was on the City Council, I was always active regionally. Our oceans were in trouble. Our bay, our Santa Monica Bay, I became chairman of the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission just to make sure my voice was heard on that board. I realized we had transportation issues in this city. I was a member of the Transportation Committee for Southern California Association of Governments. I was in leadership role in Independent Cities Association, vice president when I stepped down, League of California Cities also, on their Employee Relations Committee when I was, when pension reform was being discussed.
Right,
so I was able to pick times and places, issues that are very relevant to California, and wanted to be a voice at that table. This is another opportunity for me to be a voice at the next level. The Board of Equalization might not be the best place for a voice, but I know I'll be at the table when the governor's discussing budgets because of my position.
A position that you can be
yes,
make a louder voice.
And I will not just be sitting in the corner doing less as the governor has decided.
Okay, good for that. Let's be optimistic. My dear friends, my lovely audiences, thank you for watching, and to my friend Mahal, thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to
Jack.
you.
Thank you. An Irishman doesn't need luck.
All right, good.
Thank you.